this video, I'm going to be reviewing financials of a senator. If you know of any representatives or senators you'd like me to review financials on, let me know in the comments down below. I did AOC, and now it's time for Elizabeth Warren. Let me know who you'd like to see next. Comment below. Oh, and for those people who are gonna expose, make sure to get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes by going to metkevin.com/life. You can Apple Pay or Android Pay in as little as 5 minutes for life insurance. Link down below, check it out. So what I'm about to show you is what Elizabeth Warren says in her complaints about the Federal Reserve and some trading that happened at the Federal Reserve. But then I want to show you something about Elizabeth Warren's financials. So take a brief listen to this. So it's about a minute.
I am concerned about a culture of corruption. When we find out that there have been 3 different high officials at the Federal Reserve who have engaged in practices that may be a violation of law, but certainly undermine the public's confidence about whether they are acting to line their own pockets or on behalf of the American people, that's a real problem. And it's a real problem in leadership. We need a leader who makes it clear. I mean, this actually shouldn't have been an issue. Who could be at the Federal Reserve in a position of authority and responsibility and think that it is okay to trade individual stocks or to move from a bond portfolio to a stock portfolio the day before there is a major announcement about possible changes in Fed?
Okay, so fair. In some regard, there's some fairness in what she's saying. You had 3 people, Rosengren, Kaplan, and Clarita, trade stocks during some of the craziness of 2020, and Clarita moved money from a bond fund, $1 to $5 million from a bond fund to a stock fund. It is true, the day before there was a big Federal Reserve announcement. This is true, and it is kind of like, oh, wait a minute, that's a little shady, that's a little sus, like, we shouldn't be seeing that. Now, usually, Elizabeth Warren is quite the buy the dipper, which I think is cool. Like, I went through her prior reports, and I think it's useful to look when you go into her, for example, 2020 report. They just buy the dip. It's her and her husband. And if you scroll down to her financial disclosures, she regularly kind of buys the dip. See, here's her 2019, which was filed in 2020, and you get a lot of usually purchases here. So you get some sales listed up top, but most of them are purchases of between $1,000 to $15,000, and it's all in these TIAA funds that she buys, and she's constantly buying the dip. And it's just $1,000 to $15,000, which could be like 10K, 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 5K, whatever. But most of the time she's buying the dip. Now I'm going to show you 2020, but before I do, I just want to quickly remind you to check out the programs on building your wealth, linked down below. If you like my perspectives and research, you will love learning about investing in real estate, making YouTube videos, being a sales agent, or of course, stocks, the psychology of money, options, and crypto. Link down below, check it out. She did a lot of that in 2020 as well during the financial crisis. So you saw a lot more purchases than even sales. So quite the buy the dip. I mean, here, February 20th, bought the dip, or maybe there wasn't maybe necessarily even a dip there. It was just that same $1,000 to $15,000. I don't know that she even really cares about buying the dip. I think it's just this sort of regular buying. Around March bought, in April bought, in May bought, in June bought. And so in July bought, in August bought. Doesn't really care. It just seems like whatever, putting our money into here. In this case, it was the Vanguard Total Stock Market. So she's buying index funds, which in fairness, hey, that's not trading individual stocks. But she did just bag on one of the Federal Reserve members for going from a bond fund to a stock fund. In fairness, that Federal Reserve member went from a stock fund from a bond fund to a stock fund the day before an announcement. But I have to say, I did think it was very interesting that she would use that example when she also, let me see if I can find it here. Take a look at this. On September 9th, and I don't know if this was right before Catalyst or anything. Maybe not. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. But it's kind of interesting that in 2020, Elizabeth Warren also sold a bond fund and moved it into a stock fund. So, like, for what it's worth, she kind of did the same thing. Again, maybe not right before a catalyst, but kind of did go from a bond fund to a stock fund. So, who knows? Maybe this is a sign that it's just like either everybody in politics should be banned from trading, or nobody should be. But I kind of I'm like, wait a minute. What was happening in September in Congress to make you go from a bond fund to a stock fund yourself? So, I don't know, I think that's a little odd. And note, this is different from her regular buying, right? Because I do appreciate that she's constantly doing this 1 to 15,000 buying here, but this is different because you have this larger, this 50,000 to 100,000 move from a bond fund to a stock fund. You did also, I believe, have a transition over here from a type of index fund to a Vanguard. So she took her fund money from TIAA worth between $1 million and $5 million and went to Vanguard. That also happened on the same day. So she did do a transition from a stock fund to a stock fund on that particular day. That's not such a big deal, but seeing the transition from a bond to a stock fund, but then also bagging on somebody else for doing that sort of transition. Again, maybe in fairness because of the catalyst, but she did also make that transition that year. And I don't know, I mean, what was going on in Congress last September? We were negotiating. I mean, we didn't pass the $600 stimulus check until December. This was right before the budget crisis, right? But anyway, I just thought I'd make that mention that, it's not like Elizabeth Warren is not making trades either. Who knows? Again, maybe not right in front or right before a particular catalyst like the Fed did. It's worth noting that Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve is now looking to update their rules around ethics for trading, especially around catalyst events, which probably kind of fair. Personally, I think they should just go to instant disclosure for anybody who works for the government or something related to the government. I would say that the Federal Reserve is related to the government, but not the government, right? Why do they get 45 days before disclosing, right? Why do they get delays? Not fair. Should be instantaneous. But I just specifically thought it was interesting how she would choose to say, how could you go from a bond fund to a stock fund? Again, right before a catalyst. But she did also make that sort of transition. Again, maybe the timing different, but, maybe she took inspiration. With that said, let me know whom you'd like me to expose next. Leave a comment down below and check out the AOC video if you have not yet, where we go through AOC's financials. I'll link that down below. Thanks for watching, folks, and we will see you in the next one. Grab that coupon code before it expires on October 29th as well, linked down below, next to the link for life insurance you can get in as little as 5 minutes. Thanks so much.